Sure. Let me introduce you to the people that are watching. I'm with Magnus Karlsson. He has had many projects. I want to say guitar virtuoso Magnus Karlsson, which you are, but you are so much more. And we'll talk about that. But Magnus Carlsson's Free Fall, of course, and The Tribe, and Primal Fear since 2008. And you have a new album with Heart Healer, the metal opera by Magnus Karlsson, comes out March 12th. And the first question I want to ask you, Magnus, and thank you for being here. I so appreciate it. Uh,
Thanks for having me.
the first question, on the press release, it says Heart Healer's debut. That leads me to believe that there will be more Heart Healer albums.
I think that's the plan, yeah. I guess that the Frontiers, the record company, they want to see first if it sells. But
Of course.
yeah,
Understandably.
hopefully, I think it will happen.
I think so. You know, this is one of those records, honestly. This is one of those records that it feels like it should be in a museum. I want to hang it on my wall. You know what I mean?
Wow.
It really, it's just astonishing. I want to get into your writing. You know, like I say, I mean, I want to say guitar virtuoso because the guitar playing on this is just extraordinary, but there's so much more depth to this record. 7 female voices you have. You have a full orchestra. Now you're writing. Tell me, did you write the orchestra parts? Did you write all of this?
Yeah. Actually, I started with the orchestra parts this time. So the guitar had to take a step, you know, and leave room for the rest. So normally when I write for Primal Fear or other bands, I start with guitar riffs and the guitar is leading the whole thing. But now I started with orchestra with the intros, and I work with you know, sample libraries and that stuff. But I also added real orchestra musicians that added real strings, violin and cello on top of that. But I didn't have, you know, 100 people playing. It was just a couple of, but when you mix those orchestra samples with real musicians, it sounds really, really good.
Oh, it's amazing. I mean, and I think you can tell. I think there's a difference because I've heard the keyboard sampling, and it's nice. But this just has such an epic, grandiose feel. It's very bottom heavy with that orchestra. It's very full. It's amazing production. Now, did you do all the producing?
Yeah.
Right where you sit.
What?
Right where you sit.
Yeah, right where I sit. Yeah, absolutely. I have everything here. The only thing I can't do drums. I have hire a drum studio for the drummer, or he owns the drum studio, so I get both the studio and him. And yeah, but I sit. This is a normal room I'm sitting in, but I have my studio gear here, and I can do almost anything.
Yeah, and you know, modern technology, it does wonders, I'll tell you.
Yeah, I mean, 20 years ago, it would sound like, you know, it's made at home, but now you don't know where it's made. It can be made at the laptop somewhere.
Yeah, in a coffee shop, really. It's crazy. My first thought on hearing the name of the album, the metal opera, I thought of Avantasia, which, you know, you have Adrian Cowan singing. You know, they had I think it was to the early 2000s, the metal opera. Was that an inspiration at all to you, with that music?
I think it's great, but actually I had more inspiration from soundtracks and stuff, classical music. I mean, they call it the metal opera because it's a story and they have a lot of singers and it's great songs, but I think this is a bit different. I was more trying to get that orchestra vibe over the whole thing, and maybe Avantasia has that sometimes too. I'm not sure because I haven't heard it all, but the stuff I heard from Avantasia is more like a, you know, great songs.
Yeah, individuality to them. This flows as almost one piece. It's just
I
Really?
like to think about it like one long song with different parts in it.
Mhm.
So that's quite different. When I write, normally I can write one song and I want to do this song as great as possible, and then I move on to the next song. But this time I couldn't, because the whole album is one song and everything has to go into each other.
Yeah, yeah, it's gorgeous. I mean, it's absolutely gorgeous. And
Thank you very much.
man, I can't fathom the thought of writing this whole thing. I mean, to listen to it, it's just so in depth. There's so much to it. It's amazing. It's a genius mind to write something like this. It, and May 8th, 2020, you released a free fall album called We Are the Night. Uh,
Yeah.
do you ever leave your studio? I guess is my question.
Yeah, that's the problem, or I don't know if it's a problem, but to have it in your home. Whenever I have some time, I sneak in and start to write on something. And as I said, I don't tour, so I have that time. I teach guitar, and now during the pandemic, I teach from home. And so I have some time, and that's what I want to do. I don't spend any time on golf or anything else. If I have time to spend, I spend it to write music. That's what I love to do.
Oh man, and it shows. It really does. And on that We Are the Night record, which I would love a whole other time to talk about. It's a
Yeah.
whole other beautiful thing. But you have a lot of male singers on there, like Gina Jalusic, uh,
Yeah.
Tony Martin's on there. This time you took 7 of the greatest female voices in the world and put them on this record. How did that concept, how did you come up with that idea to incorporate all female voices?
Yeah. Yeah. As you said, I worked with great singers, but mostly male singers. I worked with Nora before, Annette, and Amanda Somerville, but not so many. And I wanted to work with more, and this was a great opportunity to make this opera with only female singers, I thought. And the hard thing was I couldn't just choose it wasn't enough to be great. They had to be different too. I couldn't have 7 singers singing like Nora. That would be hard to listen to and separate the different singers.
Right.
So I had one that's have more classical style, and one that sings more hard rock, and one more with a poppy vibe maybe.
Mm-hmm.
So but I had a list of over, I don't know how many it was, 50, 60 singers, and Frontiers helped me. They signed a lot of bands with female singers, so they had a lot to choose from. And yeah, I had some in mind, and so some of them were new to me, and but it worked out great.
It is really cool. And there, I think it's the last track on the album where you have all of those singers pretty much trading off.
Yeah.
It's like you say, I mean, they're all slightly different where you can hear the change. So it's really really nice to hear those peaks and valleys between the timbre of the voices, for sure. Um, you say that you wanted to write for more females. What is the writing process? What do you your approach to writing? How does it change when you write for a female as opposed to a male?
Yeah, it makes it a bit harder because I'm not a female. So normally I sing all the demos, and I know if I write for a guy, oh, this will be easy to sing, or this is hard. But it's harder when it's a brighter voice, and it's so I listen a lot to what they sang before, how do they sound, and yeah. And that was the hardest part with this album, that I thought about hiring a demo singer that could do it, but I sang it all myself, and you can imagine all the high harmonies. So it sounded like a mix between Bee Gees and King Diamond, or but all the singers were very nice to me, and they didn't complain even if it sounded very funny about the demos, and they really understood the vibe. anyway. So
And that's the point. That's the point of the demo, right?
yeah, yeah.
It's not showcasing your voice, right?
No,
Your falsetto, your Gibb falsetto. Yeah, that's excellent. It's so big and orchestral. Um, I mean, you composed all of this. How difficult was it to put it all together? Like, because you're getting files, correct? From the players, they're sending you
no.
digital file?
I first did all the orchestration, all the arrangements, and all melodies and everything, and then I decided what parts is most important. Where do I want to kick in with real strings and stuff? And I took all those parts and sent them to the string musicians, and then we met in a studio here, pretty close to here, and so I could be in the studio with them when we recorded.
Oh, that's excellent.
And they just followed the melodies and harmonies that I already had recorded for them.
Wow, fantastic. And I would imagine with the pandemic, it's a little trickier than it normally would be, yeah?
Yeah, but we did it this summer, and at least in Sweden, it was a bit more relaxed. It wasn't that bad. We could move around and visit each other, and now it's a bit worse again. We have more closed down again, and everybody's scared for the third wave here. So let's see what's happening.
Yeah, it's a scary time, and it's hard for the musician, and my heart goes out to all of you. And I miss I'm a photographer as well, so I'm used to being in the pit in front of a stage a lot of times, and I can't tell you the last time I was in front of a stage. It's disheartening, I miss live music for sure.
Yeah, really. I didn't think I would miss it that much that I do now. Now I can imagine when this is over, everyone will go to all the festivals.
Yeah.
It will be a big party for you.
Yes, the audiences are going to be rabid, to say the least. Now, this record is a concept record.
Yeah.
Instrumentation and lyrics work together. Have you ever thought about I mean, you're halfway there. Have you ever thought about writing a novel or a book of short stories? Or perhaps a film score?
Yeah.
This very much reads like that.
Yeah. They asked me if you didn't produce or play music or something, what would you work with? And I think I would do something like that. Write or maybe paint. Create something.
Yeah. I mean,
but I really like movies a lot, and I like how the music works with the movie, and how music can lift a movie or destroy a movie. And I'm sure you've been in the situation or seen when it's too scary, they turn down the music because it helps to get rid of one element. And I think a lot about it, how we react to music and how music can make you feel. And that's a big mystery that you can explore.
It is, and I mean, you being a master musician like you are, you can really control a visual with your music. And without even not a visual, like on this album, you feel things as you listen, because of the lyrical content and the way the music reacts to it. I would love to see you do a film score. You would be open to that then?
Absolutely. With this album, the goal was for the listener to have an hour and relax, sit back with headphones, close your eyes, listen to music, and imagine the story in front of you. That's the goal. I know that many people they don't listen to music like that anymore. They are stressed and just put on Spotify and then move on to the next song. But this album isn't made for that. It's made for sit back and relax.
Yeah.
And listen to the whole thing.
Yeah, it's peaks and valleys, and it's just like I say, it's a full work of art. It's really, I so enjoy it. Is there anybody, I mean, you've worked with so many people, so many wonderful, I mean, just so talented people. Is there anybody that you would want to work with in the future?
There are many, actually there are many new singers coming up now. I'm checking out everything that Frontiers is signing, and there are very many interesting, and on my old, you know, my idols, I work with many of them, but not Jeff Tate. I would love to work with Jeff Tate if it's possible.
Yeah, he just released something on Frontiers, I believe.
Yeah, I know he's there, but yeah,
Yeah, it's coming. It's coming.
yeah, maybe.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm a big Queensryche fan. So.
yeah, love that. One of my favorite bands ever, for sure. It seems like you've done it all, other than work with Jeff Tate. Um, is there a concept or a project that you've always wanted to do that you haven't done yet?
I would love to write, you know, a soundtrack for a film. That would be the next step for me, I think, to do it all the, you know, the whole way with the orchestra. And I think this album maybe I can use as a, you know, teaser for.
Yeah, yeah. You know, it's funny you say that, because I was listening to it and I'm thinking, you know, right away, with Awake, the, you know, that first song, I thought, this is like a metal guy's Frozen. You know, it's like, you know, it's like,
yeah, it has a bit Disney in it.
yeah, you know, but well, the female voice, it's so tender and beautiful
Yeah.
and heavy at times, but you know, you hear that and it's got these, you know, big guitars, and you know, it rocks, and I'm thinking,
Yeah.
this is my Frozen, you know.
Yeah, that's
So,
really cool. And Simone Mullarone, the one that mixed the album, he said, yeah, it sounds almost like sometimes like a Disney soundtrack going into something super heavy. And
yeah, yeah, that's kind of what I got from it too, and it's really, really interesting. It was really
yeah,
cool.
I didn't think about it. I didn't have any rules or anything. I just wrote whatever came to my mind, and
Yeah,
that's the result.
man, it's crazy. How a mind works like that. It's a gift, my friend. What's next for Magnus Carlsson? I know you got another interview, and you short on time.
Yeah,
Want to respect your time.
no, it's cool.
What's next for Magnus Carlsson?
Yeah, I just finished the album, Annette Olsen solo album. And that's going to be really, really heavy. She liked bands like Dimmu Borgir and that stuff, so she really wanted to make it heavy, and that's great.
Yeah.
So even her husband was growling and everything. So
Really?
Yeah, it came out really cool, and a lot of orchestra on that one too, but not in the same style. It's different. I will always try to keep every album different, so otherwise I would get bored, or you know, to keep up the inspiration I need to do different stuff. And now I don't know if you see it here in the background, I'm working on the next Ferryman with Ronnie Romero and Mike Tirana for the third album.
Fantastic.
So that's what I'm struggling with, some lyrics now.
Okay. Do you write the music first?
Yeah, almost every time. Yeah. 99% is the music, and then the lyrics. Yeah.
Now, do you write the lyrics yourself for your sing? I know Tony Martin doesn't go for that.
Yeah,
Tony
no.
his own thing. But for most singers, you give them a lyric sheet and they sing. You know, they listen to the demo. And
most on Freefall, it's everyone except for Tony Martin, and but Tony Harnell writes his own lyrics. And in Primal Fear, I think Ralph and Matt is writing the most of the lyrics there, and I write some lyrics. So it's a bit different, but I write lyrics in a lot of projects. On Annette's album, Annette wrote the lyrics. It's her solo album, so of course.
Right. Yeah. Well, I'm looking forward to that. That'll be really interesting, because you know, she's got just a very beautiful, seems more of a lighter, tender voice.
Yeah,
you know, strong, but I'd love to hear her bear down and rip things apart. That would be cool.
It can be, I think the mix between her voice that almost can sound like an ABBA song sometimes
All right.
mixed with this really heavy and fast music. That's
Yeah.
really cool. I like the
Interesting.
contrast.
Yeah, yeah, that's great. Well, Magnus, like I say, I know you got a full day, and I want to respect your time. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank
You are an
you.
inspiration. I enjoy the music so much, and I can't wait to hear what you got next.
Yeah, great talking to you.
You
Thank you
too.
very much.
Take care, Magnus. Thank you.
Take care. Bye bye.
Bye bye.